panicked when the bank flagged fraud. He panicked when the money got frozen. Why would someone react like that unless this whole thing was already carefully planned?
I need you to freeze that transfer right now, I whispered into my phone, staring at the loan agreement on my laptop. That signature is fake. The fraud agent put me on hold while my husband walked into the kitchen behind me. It was 7:12 in the morning. I was still wearing yesterday's sweatshirt, shaking so hard I nearly dropped the phone. On the screen was an approved $85,000 loan under my name, and the payout was scheduled to hit his account in less than an hour. Eric looked at the laptop, then at me, and smiled. Not confused, not panicked, smiled. "You weren't supposed to see that," he said calmly, setting his coffee on the counter like we were discussing groceries instead of a felony. Then my phone came off hold. The fraud agent's voice suddenly sharpened. "Ma'am, your husband is listed as the receiving party on this transfer." And Eric took one step toward me. I pushed my chair back so fast it scraped across the tile. "Don't come any closer," I said. Eric stopped beside the counter, still weirdly calm, one hand wrapped around his coffee mug like this was an inconvenience, instead of the moment our entire marriage cracked open. The fraud agent was still on speaker. "Ma'am, I need verbal confirmation. Are you stating you did not authorize this loan application?" "Yes," I said instantly. Eric exhaled through his nose and rubbed his forehead. "Dana, think carefully before you say something stupid." That word hit me harder than the loan. Stupid. Like I was the problem here. Like I was ruining something important by catching him. I looked back at the screen. My full legal name, my social security number, my employment history, even my old salary from before I cut my hours to help him with the business. Everything was correct, except I had never signed any of it. "You forged my signature," I said quietly. Eric finally looked irritated. Not guilty, irritated. It was temporary. I actually laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. "Temporary?" I repeated. "You took out $85,000 in my name." "It would have been paid back before you even noticed." The fraud agent cut in again. "Ma'am, due to the active dispute, we are placing an emergency hold on the transfer pending investigation." Eric's entire expression changed at that sentence. That was the first moment he looked scared. Not when I accused him, not when fraud was mentioned, only when the money stopped moving. He set the coffee mug down harder than before. "Do you have any idea what you just did?" My stomach tightened, because suddenly this didn't feel like one desperate decision. It felt like something bigger had already started moving before I found it. I swallowed hard. "How long has this been going on?" Eric stared at me for 2 long seconds. Then he said, very quietly, "If you had just waited one more day, this would have solved everything." "What does that even mean?" I asked. Eric dragged a hand through his hair and started pacing the kitchen. The calm act was slipping now. I could hear it in the way his footsteps hit the floor too hard. "You're blowing this out of proportion," he said. "The business hit a rough patch. I needed liquidity for a week, maybe 2. Then a contract payment clears, the loan gets paid off, and none of this matters." "None of this matters?" I stared at him. "You committed fraud." "Our fraud," he snapped immediately. "We're married." That word landed like a slap. We. As if my name, my credit, my future automatically belonged to him because we shared a last name. The fraud agent asked me several rapid questions: whether I wanted the application formally disputed, whether anyone in my household had access to my personal documents, whether I felt safe remaining in the home. I almost answered automatically. Then I looked at Eric again, and memories started clicking into place so fast they made me nauseous. 3 weeks ago, he'd insisted on reorganizing our filing cabinet. 2 months ago, he'd gotten angry when I changed one of our banking passwords after a phishing email scare. Last week, I'd asked why he needed copies of my pay stubs for tax prep, even though our accountant usually handled everything. Every answer suddenly sounded rehearsed in my head. Eric saw something change in my face. "Dana," he said carefully, "don't start inventing things." But I already was. Or maybe I was finally seeing them clearly. I muted the phone and lowered my voice. "How bad is it?" "It's handled." "That's not what I asked." His jaw tightened. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then I opened our joint banking app, and my blood went cold. Our emergency savings account, the account with nearly 6 years of savings in it, was almost empty. I stared at the transaction history: wire transfers, cash withdrawals, amounts I had never approved. One transfer from 3 days earlier was larger than all the others combined: $22,000. Recipient name hidden. I looked up slowly. "Eric?" My voice barely worked. "Where did our money go?" He didn't answer, and that silence terrified me more than if he had screamed. Eric grabbed his keys off the counter. "I can't do this right now." "Do what?" I demanded. "Explain where our savings went?" He walked out before I could stop him. The second his car pulled away, I opened every financial account we shared. What I found made me feel physically sick. Missed mortgage payments, maxed out business credit cards, past due notices buried in paperless statements, and 2 credit cards I had never seen before, both opened under my name. My credit score had dropped almost 100 points. I called the lender back, shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. The investigator's tone changed after reviewing the application. "Ma'am, the documents were uploaded from your home internet connection." I closed my eyes. Then she added one more thing. "The tax returns attached to the loan appear to have been altered." At that exact moment, my phone buzzed with a text from Eric. "Do not ruin this for me." And seconds later, an unknown number called. "Your husband promised payment today," the man said coldly. "He said your inheritance money was coming through." I drove straight to Eric's storage unit after that call. Inside were boxes stuffed with unopened collection notices, lawsuit warnings, and bank letters dating back over a year. Then I found a folder with my name on it: my driver's license, my payroll records, practice copies of my signature, blank loan forms. My hands started shaking so badly I dropped the folder. This hadn't been desperation.
He kept practice copies of her signature. That's not panic anymore. So, how many times was he planning to do
It
this?
had been preparation. I called an attorney from the parking lot. The first thing she said was, "Freeze every account and file a police report immediately." That's when Eric's truck pulled in beside me. He stepped out and said, "You're destroying both our lives." I looked him dead in the face and asked, "How long?" Eric didn't even hesitate. "Since the bank denied me last year." The investigation uncovered everything after that. His business had already collapsed 18 months earlier. He'd hidden the debts, drained our savings, forged tax documents, and built multiple loan applications using my identity. The $85,000 wasn't meant to save the business. It was meant to delay the explosion. I filed fraud reports, froze every account, and moved out within the week. Detectives got involved because federal lending documents had been forged. Creditors started suing him publicly soon after. And the worst part? Investigators found drafts for two more loans under my name. Months later, my liability for the loan was officially removed. The final email came through at 8:14 in the morning. Fraud claim approved. Debt transferred out of my name. I just sat there staring at the screen, realizing I'd stopped the money less than 12 hours before it disappeared forever.
If someone can quietly collect your signatures, passwords, tax records, and banking access inside your own home, how many people think they are financially safe right now when they aren't?